All right, so let's talk about risk versus reward riding alone. Well, like I said, I'm going to go down one of these easier trails so that I can focus on what I'm saying and my riding. I don't want to step it up to a black trail because I won't be able to talk much. All right, so I have made a lot of mistakes over the years on risk versus reward. As I've gotten older, I think I'm finally starting to learn. One of my biggest mistakes I'll never forget was probably about 15 years ago when I was trying to check off all sorts of different riding destinations. And at that time, I really wanted to ride the Womble in Arkansas. So before Bentonville came on the scene, that was one of the big trail systems that you wanted to try to check off. Well, here's the deal. Arkansas was having record-breaking temperatures. The real temperature and the real feel, or the heat index. And but I was bound and determined I was going to ride that place all by myself. And I remember literally it felt like I had a fever. My eyes were burning in my head. I did the same thing out at Bootleg Canyon, which is literally in the desert by Las Vegas. If I had to do all over again, I wouldn't have ridden those places. And especially by myself, my word, who cares whether or not you've checked off all these destinations? And if it's meant to be, then you'll have another opportunity to ride it at another time. So anyway, today I'm really riding chill, but I also don't want to ride too chill. If you ride too safe, you're even more likely to have a wreck. So you want to tame it down in terms of the trails you ride. And but when it comes to a certain feature, if you're going to do it, then do it 100%. Be committed to it. Otherwise, stop and walk. There's no shame with that. Yeah, the biggest thing is to stay on trails that are within your skill set. So for me, pretty much every blue trail I'm going to be able to get down. I may not get down it fast, but I can get down it. Most black trails the same thing, but with a lot of the black trails, I'm going to have to stop talking, or I may have to walk some of the features. So yeah, those are some things I've learned over the years. And you know what? Nobody cares if you've ridden the hardest, most difficult feature. I fell into that in my earlier years where I was like, well, did you do that feature? Did you do that feature? I did. The people who can do those features don't care. And the people who can't do those features would rather you not brag about it, especially if you're taking a risk when you're all by yourself on the mountain, and you could end up having to spend the night on the mountain because nobody knows where you are. Hey, that brings me to my last point on this. I'm glad I thought about that. We're on the road right now, Copperhead Road, and oh, I'm going to sidetrack again. I wouldn't take this road up if it's busy out here. In one of my earlier videos, I said it's the way to go if you're on an e-bike. But if it's busy, there are too many trail crossings the road, so it's way better to be on the actual climbing trail. I'm literally the only person out here today, so this is a faster way to get to the top. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know, I think the name of the movie is like 72 Hours or something like that. It's about a guy who went hiking in, I think it was Utah, and he had to saw off his arm because a boulder fell on it and trapped him in a crevice. Yeah, ever since I saw that movie, dude, I make sure somebody who knows their way around can get to me when I'm riding by myself. It just makes a lot of sense. And the other thing is, you know, it just can't be, hey, I'm riding Ride Canuga, but somebody who knows Ride Canuga, tell them what trails you're planning on doing. That way, if you don't text them at dark, they can come looking for you. Because a lot of these places, while they care that you make it out safely, they can't keep track of every customer who comes and goes. I mean, they can't do that. That's impossible. So you got to get your own sweeper. A lot of the big bike parks have sweepers. They'll have somebody volunteer to ride each trail at the end of the day, make sure nobody's out there in the poison ivy with broken bones. If I'm riding by myself at a place where nobody's around that I know, then I will tell the person in the bike shop which trails I'm doing, and that I'll check in at the very last before I leave. That way he or she at least has a certain measure of responsibility if they still see my van in the parking lot. All right, enough of that.